In a chess game, our perceptions can be distilled and divided into two states, either the absence or the presence of the position's truth. If we carry even a seed of the former, our thought process is quickly manifested as misfortune on the board. In this chapter, we look at how Carlsen reacts while under the strain of defense. Resistance in inferior positions is a place where Carlsen convincingly outstrips his colleagues. Let's take a look at some example games. In this first game, Carlsen was in a battle for perhaps the most important game of his life. He played black versus a desperate Anand in their 2013 Chennai match. The score was 2 for Carlsen. If Anand won, he was right back in the match. If Carlsen could pull off the win, it all but guaranteed his new world champion's crown. I remember watching this game thinking, if Carlsen survives this one, he is a magician. d4. Anand start the game. Knight f6. Carlsen responds. c4. e6. Indian defense. Knight c3. Bishop b4. f3. Because of his close call in this game, Carlsen has been under heavy theoretical fire in this ultra-aggressive line of the Nimzo Indian with this World Championship game. d5. A few months later, against Nakamura, Carlsen tried c5. a3. Bishop takes c3, check. b takes c3. c5. c take d5. e take d5, inviting Anand to attack him. e3. c4, dubious move. Carlsen attempts to throw Anand off with a rarely played sideline. Question: an example of the Larsen playbook. Answer: correct. By playing a little-known sideline, Carlsen hopes to inoculate himself from the heavily prepared Anand's theoretical wrath. Question: doesn't the move violate the principle keep the center fluid if you are later going to come under attack on the king side in this case? Answer: of course. Such risks carry within them the seed of potential penalties as well. Yes, it is a deliberate violation of the principle. Carlsen has faith in his king's ability to avoid checkmate on the king side, so he stakes out queenside space and a majority on that wing. Knight e2, dubious move. The plan is to eventually transfer the knight to g3 in order to enforce e4. Knight c6, an inaccurate move. g4, very intimidating. Castle kingside. Well, maybe not so intimidating to Carlsen, who castles directly into the teeth of Anand's attack. Bishop g2. Knight f5. Castle kingside. Knight b3. Rook a2, with the intention of swinging over to the kingside via the second rank. b5. Question: why isn't black taking the c1 bishop to relieve white of the bishop pair? Answer: black would then waste 4 moves to swap for a piece which only moved once. So Carlsen decides to leave the knight where it stands and continue the queenside or central undermining strategy with b5, a5 and b4. Knight g3. Here we suggested a4, which I wouldn't play, since it shifts the focus of the game to the queenside, black's realm. a5. A new move in the position. Carlsen has no time to lose and prepares to pry open the center and queenside with a quick b for break. g5, dubious move. Knight e8. e4. Knight takes c1. Carlsen decides that this exchange may be a necessary emendation, and that his original plan requires a course change. Question: didn't you say earlier that this swap loses time for black? Answer: I would have to check the transcripts, but I take you at your word. In this case, Carlsen is willing to essentially lose 3 tempi to reduce the attacking force trained against his king. In fact, this could be another case of Carlsen's near-omniscient intuition at work. And who can argue with success? He did manage to avoid getting mated this game. Queen takes c1. Rook a6, dubious move. Dual purpose. 1. Now that black's rook is protected, it enables the b for break. 2. Black's rook may later swing over to the king side in order to assist his king. 3. Black's rook suppresses 6th rank pawn breakthroughs on e6 and g6, but not f6, as Anand played in the game. e5. Knight c7, a dubious move. I would be more likely to play a quick b4 to distract white from his kingside attack. f4. b4. A take b4, an inaccuracy move. It may not be correct to open queenside lines for black. A take b4. Rook take a6. Knight take a6. f5. b3. It takes enormous confidence to make a move like this against an attacker as gifted as Anand. Queen f4. Knight c7. f6. It's a mistake. Anand's dream of attack is a void, begging to be filled. So he tears at Carlsen's king as if ripping a nail from a wooden board. At this stage, people were going nuts on the internet, with definitive claims of a looming mate over Carlsen's head. g6. Queen h4. Exercise, critical decision. Black's knight can play 2e6 or e8. Which one would you choose? Be careful. Only one of them works. Answer: e8 is the correct square. Knight e8, it's a mistake. The only move, but the trouble is, it cuts off the f8 rook and black king from the remainder of their forces. They remain where they are, frozen in perplexity. Queen h6, great move. The Amazon queen, full of ardor, draws black's king closer to her. Black's king, simultaneously spellbound and fearful of the white queen's approach, steels himself with the thought, the devil only appears to us in the form of heavenly beauty, in order to tempt us. b2. Played so that any rook lift from white allows black to queen with check. Such remarkable nonchalance. Carlsen plays like a man unconscious to the looming threats to his king, as if the reality never once occurred to him, and as if only material matters over the board. Rook f4. White's battle-hardened troops, tempered by violent past campaigns, are psychologically prepared to take on heavy casualties for the coming fight. Spectacular stuff. Anand allows Carlsen to queen with check in order to pursue his attacking dreams. We World Championship game watchers are a rather emotional lot, and there were screams of hysteria over the internet, claiming that Anand was in the process of forcing mate, while allowing Carlsen to promote a pawn with check. The true assessment, according to the more emotionally stable comps, the game is even. b1 promote to queen, check. Exercise, critical decision. Cheapskate is generally a derogatory term, while in a chess game, actually may be a virtue. Black is up a full queen, but his king is under dire threat. White has two logical choices. Block on f1 with either the bishop or the knight. In one version, white holds his own. In the other, black consolidates and wins. Knight f1. The false luster of a non-existent mate guiles the knight's eyes, and the seed he plants never takes root. Queen e1, great move. Nobody wants to mess with black's twin queens, who carry their revolvers in couples. Anand must have been kicking himself. It's humiliating when we make a move, believing it to smite our opponent with a terrible blow, only to discover that our killing shot is rendered perfectly harmless by a simple response which eluded our analysis. Anand resigned here. After rook h4. Queen take h4. Queen take h4. Queen a5. When there is no mate and white finds himself a rook down, Carlsen win the game. Garry Kasparov, playing as white, versus Magnus Carlsen, playing as black. Norway Chess 2013, Supreme Master. Before this game, Kasparov had won 4 in a row versus the world's elite. He came close to making it number 5, if not for Carlsen's resourceful defense. It was a must-win situation for Magnus Carlsen to still dream of first, and it started badly as Garry Kasparov took the initiative. With his vintage luck of the champions, Kasparov miscalculated and Carlsen went on the attack to score an impressive win. Kasparov start with e4. Magnus responds e5. Knight f3. Knight c6. Bishop b5. a6. Ruy Lopez opening. Morphy defense. Bishop a4. Knight f6. Castle kingside. Bishop e7. Rook e1. b5. Bishop b3. d6. c3. Castle kingside. h3. Knight b8. The Breyer variation of the Ruy Lopez. Black retreats in order to redeploy his knight to d7, allowing his c-pawn the flexibility to move forward. d4. Knight b to d7. Knight b to d2. Bishop b7. Bishop c2. Rook e8. a4. Bishop f8. Bishop d3. c6. Queen c2. A prepared surprise for Carlsen, who defeated Kasparov in the 2010 World Blitz Championship after the more common continuation b3. Rook c8. Logically placing the rook on the same file as white's queen. A take b5. A take b5. b4. Question: doesn't b4 hurt white, who plays on black's strong wing? Answer: it isn't so clear if black is the sole owner of queenside play. For the moment, both sides strive to make gains there. One idea behind playing b4 is that moves like c5 can be met with b takes c5, followed by d5, creating a passed d-pawn. Queen c7. A new move. Bishop b2. Rook 8. Challenging the file. Rook A to D1. Knight B6. It's a dubious move. Question: why give this move a dubious mark? Black simply fights for control over C4. Answer: while the move doesn't hinder White's coming C for break, it does weaken E5, a fact which Karjakin shortly seizes upon. C4. That is the correct way to attack this structure. White is already better. B takes C4. Knight takes C4. And Black has found himself in a really unpleasant position. Whatever he does, White's initiative is strong. Knight takes C4. Bishop takes C4. Black must worry about E5 and also F7. H6. D take E5. D take E5. Bishop C3. The pawn on C6 is weaker than before, and Black has a bad bishop on B7. Bishop A6. Carlsen hopes to unload his passive B7 bishop. Bishop B3. May the light of my unsurpassed beatitude fall upon you. The impure praise the obnoxious bishop to his S6 brother, who wishes his B3 colleague would just shut the hell up. Good judgment. White's bishop is stronger. C5. Carlsen hopes to eliminate his weak C pawn and liquidate to a drawish position. However, he mistimes it. Queen B2. Targeting E5. C4. Carlsen picks the most palatable line in a nest of treacherous choices. Bishop A4. Rook E6. Knight take E5. Most would label the knight's actions as theft. He prefers to call it appropriation. There goes an important central pawn. Bishop B7, dubious move. Bishop C2, it's a mistake. A position of such complexity threatens to exceed understanding's reach. After completely outplaying Carlsen, Karjakin fails to find the strongest continuation. White is clearly better after Bishop B5. Rook A to E8. F4. This weakening move is obligatory if White wants to hang on to his extra pawn. Suddenly, White is forced into weakening his king side and Black's pieces hum with activity. The computer now rates the position at even, with Black obtaining full compensation for the pawn, while I actually prefer Black's side, since from a practical standpoint, White's moves are not so easy to find. Bishop D6. Watch how in the next few moves, Carlsen undermines E5 from every angle. Now, Black has counterplay, and the position is about even. King H2, it's a mistake. A very strange move considering the position of Black's queen and bishop. Knight H5, good move. Carlsen seeks an attacking fulcrum as a marker to lend rational to that which is inherently chaotic. A powerful undermining idea, where F4 and E5 appear wobbly and Karjakin must agree to new concessions by weakening his king. G3. F6, good move. Knight G6. Exercise, critical decision. The armies collide and intertwine in the middle. Black's candidate moves are 33, bishop take E4, regaining the lost pawn, and the piece sacrifice 33, knight take F4. Which one should black play? Answer: sacrifice on f4, since white is unable to accept. Carlsen has been behind in material for quite some time now, a deficiency he seeks to restore. Magnus said that Karjakin played this both quickly and with quite a bit of confidence, and added he was not really sure what Sergei saw, but clearly something had gone horribly wrong in his calculations. Knight take f4. Brilliant move. Once we latch on to the correct idea, it is no time to shirk the details and allow educated deductions to be upgraded to the level of actual facts. Now the white king's armor cracks open like a walnut, leaving exposed tender flesh. This is the counterattack's logical continuum. Carlsen finds the best way, and Karjakin is forced to play. Rook take d6. Good move. When there is a dangerous job ahead, the general tends to send his most expendable unit to do the dirty work. Knight take g6. Rook take e6. Rook take e6. Question: how would we assess this position? Answer: white's shortcomings are made painfully evident by the following. 1. White's king is unsafe. 2. White's e-pawn is weak. 3. Black controls e5. Bishop d4. Another mistake. White should bring his queen to defend the king. f5. Carlsen takes advantage of white's last move, which leaves the e1 rook in an unprotected state, another good move to open his bishop. e5. It's a mistake. Exercise. Combination alert. This is not a situation where we can take comfort in generalities. White's wobbly position comes apart if you find black's correct continuation. Knight take e5. Brilliant move. Answer: piece sacrifice. A deteriorating position either tends to collapse from the sides inward or from the middle out. White's distress is an example of the latter category. Karjakin is unable to withstand Carlsen's computer shot since he can't hang on to his extra piece due to black's numerous mating threats. Bishop take e5. Queen c6. Great move. Threatening mate on the move. Rook g1. It's a mistake. Everything loses. Queen d5. Threatening the bishop, and also a deadly check on d2. Now it's over. Black has attack and a pass-distant pawn to disturb white's pieces. Bishop take f5. Rook take e5. Bishop g4. h5. Bishop d1, though it would not change anything in the result. c3. Black rules the board. Queen f2. Rook f5. Queen e3. Queen f7, threatening a killing check on f2. g4. Rook e5, brilliant move. Queen d4. Exercise, combination alert. How did Carlsen force mate? Queen c7. Answer: there is no good way for white to elude a deadly discovered check. Corona Mundi declares the arrogant queen, then adds in English she realizes her brother ditched Latin class as a kid and doesn't understand a word of what she just said. I am the crown of the world. Karjakan resigned here. Thank you for watching the video. Please like, share, and subscribe.